Dear students, this is KULDEEP Singh GAUR from Department of Zoology, Government Meera Girls College, Uday. Today we are going to study general characters of vertebrates and some comparative studies of lower chordates as well as of higher chordates. First of all, have a look at general characters of vertebrates. Among the general characters, first of all, the vertebrates, they have axial skeleton and in form of vertebrae, and anteriorly placed is skull encasing the brain. The vertebral column and the skull together forms the axial skeleton. Apart from these two characters, the three fundamental chordate characters which we had discussed in the earlier lectures are also present, which were dorsal holotubular nerve cord, the presence of notochord in and gill slits, paired gill slits in one or the other part of life. So the three fundamental chordate characters, vertebral column and cranium, they are the major characteristics of phylum Vertebrata. Apart from these major and basic characters, some satellite characters are also present. Worth mentioning in this lecture are bilateral symmetry and metameric segmentation, and the body is divided into head, tail, and trunk. Some of the aquatic species of vertebrates, they have mucus glands on their body, and which help them in respiration and other activities like defense and all that. The coelom of vertebrates is schizocilous, means the coelom which arises from the splitting of the mesodermal bands, and they have notochord replaced by vertebral column in later part of their life. The endoskeleton of all the vertebrates is living, and the muscles which are attached to the endoskeleton for the movement of limbs and body. Pharyngeal gill slits are present, but not more than 7 pairs except in cyclostomes, whereas in the lower animals we had seen that there are many gill slits present, but here we have generally about 7 pairs of pharyngeal gill slits. 10 to 12 pairs of cranial nerves are present. Those animals which do not have neck are having 10 pairs of cranial nerves, and the 2 extra pair of cranial nerves which arose due to the development of neck region and to supply the neck region. Spinal nerves are formed by union of dorsal and ventral roots of the nerves, and in the development of vertebrates, we never come across an invaginated gastrula. It was the feature of invertebrates. Ostracoderms and placoderms were among the first vertebrates. Ostracoderms were jawless, whereas placodermi were jawed vertebrates, and both of them have been extinct from this world now. The ostracoderms ruled the planet during Ordovician, and they were the jawless bony fishes. That means the bones arose earlier than cartilage, because the ostracoderm, they bore dermal bony armor around their body, and the cartilage developed later on. After this Ordovician, period. The Devonian period was the age of the fishes, and the fishes flourished at their best during this period. First was the jawed fish was the placodermy, which is also extinct now. After Devonian period, Carboniferous period came, and it was ruled by amphibians because they could put a step on the land and could explore the land, but had to go back to the water for reproduction. The amphibian arose from crossopteri fishes, which gave rise to labyrinthodonts, the first vertebrates to walk on land, and the labyrinthodonts were termed as stamp amphibians. Thereafter, Mesozoic era came, and it was dominated wholly by the reptiles, because the reptiles were the first true land vertebrates, and they needn't go back to the water for laying their eggs. That's why they could explore the totally unexplored terrestrial environment. Then came Cenozoic era, which still continues, and the mammals, they are dominating. But currently, we are witnessing a downfall in the mammalian class. So, these are some of the general characters of the vertebrates. Now, we should have some comparison of craniates and acraniata. Acraniata, as I have told you, they are also called as protochordata or lower chordata, whereas craniata, having cranium, they are termed as euchordata or higher chordata. The acraniates, they are exclusively marine and are very small in size, whereas craniates, they are aquatic, terrestrial, and mostly large in size. No appendages, cephalization, and exoskeleton was seen in protochordata. You can view or recall cephalochordates in your memory, that they did not bear any appendages, nor do they have cephalization and presence of exoskeleton, whereas paired appendages appeared in craniates, and they have very well developed exoskeleton also. The coelom in protochordates was anthrocoelic, whereas the coelom in craniates or higher chordates is schizocoelic. Notochord is persistent throughout the life. No skull, no cranium or vertebral column was sighted in the protochordates. However, notochord do persist in euchordates also, but many of them have the notochord is replaced by vertebral column, and cranial gets very well developed. Pharynx with permanent gill clefts are present, and endostyle is also present in protochordates, and pharyngeal gill clefts persist or disappears in craniata, whereas endostyle or thyroid is present. Thyroid is present in place of endostyle in craniates. Heart was chamberless in protochordates. No RBCs were sighted. However, heart is very advanced in mammals with 4 chambers, and other classes, they have 2, 3 or 4 chambers. Blood corpuscles, they have hemoglobin in them for the efficient carrying of oxygen. Kidneys were always protonephric in Kidneys in form of protonephridia existed in protochordates, whereas kidneys of meso or metanephric kidneys are found in euchordates. Sexes were separate or united in protochordates. Asexual mode of reproduction was also seen, but sexes are separate and only sexual reproduction can be seen in higher chordates. Development in protochordata was indirect with the free swimming larva, whereas in craniates we can see both type of development, direct and indirect, that is presence of larval stage or absence of larval stage. The difference between the jawed and jawless vertebrates. Egg nests were ostracodermy and cyclostomata. I have told you when I taught the broad classification of chordates that egg nests included two classes, ostracodermy and cyclostomata. Egg nests were without jaws. Only circular suctorial kind of mouth was present in cyclostomata, and ostracodermy had fixed mouth. True jaws are present in gnathostomata. In gnathostomata, we include 7 classes. Those includes placodermy, chondric teeth, ostic teeth from species superclass, and amphibia, reptilia, aves, and mammalia from tetrapods. The internal ear has only 2 semicircular canals in jawless classes, and internal ear have 3 semicircular canals in animals having jaw. Notochord persists in gnathostomata or is replaced by vertebral column, whereas notochord persists even in adults in the animals without the jaws. Now just have a comparison of species and tetrapods. Species are exclusively marine, cannot live without water. Species are jawed vertebrates. Tetrapods are also jawed vertebrates, but may present in terrestrial environment also, because amphibians, they first set a limb on the terrestrial environment, and thereafter reptiles, they fully came out of water to live a total terrestrial life. Median fins are present in species, whereas median fins are absent in tetrapods. If paired limbs are present in species, they are only present in form of fins, whereas in tetrapods, fins are absent, but paired pentadactyl limbs are present. The species have paired moist and scaly skin, whereas skin is usually dry and cornified in tetrapods due to terrestrial mode of life. The respiration is by gills, because all the species they inhabit the aqueous environment. Respiration is aerial in tetrapod mostly, and they breathe by lungs. The sense organs in the tetrapods, they function in air also, whereas in species the sense organ are functional in water. We had seen rheoreceptors for just sensing the water current, and there are several sense organs about which we will talk in later lectures, which are useful for the terrestrial environment. So dear students, this is all in today's lecture. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you very much.